Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Today's a special one from writer and director Larry Cohen, a guy who's got some great sci-fi and horror films under his belt. One of which is The Stuff. It's one of those movies back in the day I used to love, and whenever I talked to anyone about it, they had no idea what the hell I was talking about. The other is Today's Movie, which is another movie that whenever I spoke to someone about it, they'd look at me like I was smoking crack. So let's talk about 1982's cult classic, Q, the Winged Serpent. Now, right from the beginning, I'm going to ask you to forgive me because I need to go on a couple of tangents about this movie. As a kid, I had a love for any movie about monsters or killer animals. Alligator, American Werewolf in London, Wolfen, Q the Winged Serpent, pretty much anything with a monster or a killer animal, I absolutely ate it up. Back when this movie was released, I was 4 years old. I didn't see it until probably the following year on cable, so I was about 5. And this movie has always stuck with me. But it was one of those films that didn't really come on TV a lot after its initial run. I didn't see it again for many years, after maybe the mid-80s. Fast forward to 1998. I'm a young soldier in the Army. I happen to be on a deployment to Kuwait for like a 4-month training mission. About 2 weeks before the end of the deployment, you gotta go and turn in all the vehicles, make sure everything's clean before you can fly back home. Well, we're at Camp Doha in Kuwait, and it happens to have a small movie theater. So I actually remember going to see a movie, I think it was Body Parts or something, with that Howard Stern movie. But anyway, the movie theater had a small video store. And in that video store, I saw a VHS for Q the Winged Serpent, which literally I had not seen since the mid or early 80s. And anyone I'd ever spoken to about it had no idea what I was talking about. I remember being really excited and showing one of my buddies like, hey man, this movie, I've been trying to tell people about it and no one believes me, but here it is, way over here in Kuwait in 1998. So yeah, that's my little story about when I rediscovered this film. So since then, I've seen the movie again many times. And with the advent of streaming services, I can almost watch it anytime I like. It's one of those movies I kind of just like to put on in the background and not really have to pay attention to. Well, to my shock and surprise, a couple days ago, I decided I wanted to watch Q the Winged Serpent. I go on Tubi, I click on the link, not realizing that I clicked on the link with director commentary. And what a pleasant surprise. Larry Cohen's commentary for this movie is incredible. It is fascinating. If you've already seen Q the Winged Serpent, do yourself a favor and watch it with the director's commentary. It is absolutely worth it. He really goes into detail about how he stretched the $1 million budget. You know, making a low budget monster film in New York City was just kind of unheard of at the time. He talks about his longtime friendship with David Carradine. They were actually old Army buddies at the base in the city where I'm from, coincidentally. He talks about David Carradine's lack of A-list roles and the fact that he had to take B-list roles constantly because he was always being chased by the tax man and he had a bunch of wives. He even tells a couple stories about 2 potential cast members that ended up not being in the movie. One of which was a bartender who auditioned for David Carradine's part, but since Cohen had already promised the part to Carradine, he couldn't give it to Bruce Willis. Think about that. Bruce Willis would have been in this movie in the part that David Carradine played. The other actor was a young comedian that he saw at the Improv. He was going to hire him for the role that Michael Moriarty plays in the film. That actor was Eddie Murphy. So imagine how much different the alternate timeline where Q the Winged Serpent starred Bruce Willis and Eddie Murphy. But let's finally talk about the movie itself. The film is set in New York City, where a series of gruesome murders and mysterious disappearances begin to plague the city. The police are baffled and puzzled by the bizarre nature of the crimes, which include victims being decapitated and partially eaten. Meanwhile, a small-time crook named Jimmy Quinn, who's played by Michael Moriarty, stumbles upon a nest of a giant winged serpent, which happens to be the resurrected god known as Quetzalcoatl, atop the Chrysler Building. Realizing the potential value of his discovery, Quinn attempts to extort money from the city in exchange for the location of the creature's nest. As the serpent continues on his rampage, terrorizing the city and evading capture, a detective played by David Carradine and a police sergeant played by Richard Roundtree race against time to stop the monster. The film culminates in a dramatic showdown as the authorities confront the winged serpent in a desperate attempt to save the city. Now, that's a very basic rundown, but just know this movie has cultists, human sacrifices, and some pretty decent gore effects and monster effects for the time and the budget. But actor Michael Moriarty as Quinn steals this movie. Like, every scene he's in is awesome. Larry Cohen raves about Michael Moriarty's acting and his ability to just kind of improv scenes on the spot. They'd actually end up working together on 5 movies. Michael Moriarty's also in The Stuff, which came out in 1985. Q the Winged Serpent is well acted, directed, and written. Larry Cohen did great work with such a low budget. It's got some really memorable scenes. I mean, in particular, I've always remembered the scene with the blood coming down from the sky, just kind of raining on people in the street. For whatever reason, that image always stuck with me. I feel like Q the Winged Serpent is one of those movies that gets lost in the mix of 1982. I mean, all you have to do is go Google films released in 1982 and you'll see exactly what I mean. It's very easy to forget a low budget film about a flying monster in New York City. And if you've never seen or heard of it, give it a shot. Check it out right now while it's still available on Tubi for free. And if you can, please watch it with the director's commentary. Like I said, it is absolutely worth it. So if you remember Q the Winged Serpent, please leave me a comment. And if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let me know if you have any weird or fun memories about Q the Winged Serpent. So once again, thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.